A superb second-half performance at Villa Park. Spurs hit 4 against Villa. Spurs are now only 2 points away from the top 4 with a game in hand over 4th place Aston Villa.
Chris Cowlin. Fan cams. Club news. Transfer news. Match previews. Legend interviews. Spurs winning. Press conferences. Covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. This is another edition of Spurs in the Media, where I'll be going through all of today's newspapers, looking at all of the articles from today's national press, also going through all of the player ratings as well. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. So let's get straight into it, and let's start with a report from the Times newspaper. The main heading states, Villa lose plot as rivals up the ante. It says here 159, Son drew level with Cliff Jones on 5th on Spurs' all-time top goal scorers list with his 159th goal for the club. It says here, Tottenham Hotspur showed their quality as Aston Villa lost their heads in a decisive but frantic 15-minute spell that suggested why their tussle for the last Champions League spot is likely to go to the wire. 2 goals from Spurs in 3 second-half minutes and a reckless red card for John McGinn 12 minutes later for a tackle on Destiny Udogie put the visiting side in the driving seat at Villa Park and boosted their hopes of landing that top 4 finish in the Premier League. Now, after Spurs beat Aston Villa 4-0 on Sunday afternoon, he said in his press conference, so many games for us and so many challenging games, and every game will have meaning, as it does for every team. There's a fight at the top, down the bottom, we're all fighting for something. It means that we are 1 game closer, just 11 games now to go. Everyone was billing this as a do or die. For us, I assume we're not dead yet. Now, the player ratings from the Times newspaper today, they have given Vicario a 7 out of 10, Pedro Porro a 7, Romero an 8, Van de Ven an 8, Dragusin sub a 6, Udogie a 7, Basuma a 7, Sarr a 7, Kulusevski an 8, James Maddison an 8, Brennan Johnson a 7, and Heung-min Son an 8. And I must say that I think that is pretty harsh on Pape Matar Sarr, who I thought was incredible at Villa Park. Now for a report from the Daily Mirror, and on the front of their sports supplement, Mirror Football, it says here, as good as it gets. Of course, James Maddison and Brennan Johnson celebrating. It says, Spurs boss Postecoglou house his demolition men. Also, a double-page spread from the Daily Mirror, and it says here, Spurs hit Bullseye. Angie's men survive a game of killer. We're not dead yet. Now, the Daily Mirror have published some quotes from Villa boss Emery and said the second half was a very bad day at the office. In the first half, we kept to our game plan. We controlled the game more defensively than offensively. But we conceded 2 goals so quickly, and when the red card was brought out, the match was over for us. Now, the attendance at Villa Park on Sunday was 42,310. Of course, the referee was Chris Kavanagh. The Daily Mirror have given man of the match to Dejan Kulusevski. Now, the match stats, possession, Villa had 30% of the ball to Tottenham's 70%. Shots on target, Villa had 1 to Tottenham's 5. Shots off target, Villa had 2 to Tottenham's 1. Total passes, Villa 293 to Tottenham's 692. Passing success, Villa 78% to Tottenham's 91%. Corners, Villa had 6, Spurs had 4. Offsides, Villa 5, Spurs 2. Fouls, Villa 11, Spurs 15. And yellow cards, Spurs received 2. And red cards, Aston Villa received 1. Now, the player ratings from the Daily Mirror. Vicario a 6, Pedro Porro a 6, Romero a 7, Van de Ven a 6, Dragusin a 6, Udogie a 7, Pape Matar Sarr a 7, Sub Bentancur a 6, Basuma a 7, Kulusevski an 8, Maddison a 7, Brennan Johnson a 6, Heung-min Son a 7. Now a report from the Daily Mail, and it says here, sick Emery, 10-man Villa are awful as tinkering backfires. Emery is not the first to suffer a hangover from Amsterdam, but this one might linger. The Aston Villa boss took the risk of tweaking the system on a day when victory would have eased his team 8 points clear of the visitors and tightened their gap on a place in next season's Champions League, but Emery watched it all implode, with most of the damage done inside 15 minutes at the start of the second half, and Tottenham silenced Villa Park's giddy buzz of anticipation. Now, of course, Spurs went 1-0 up after 50 minutes through James Maddison, assisted by Pape Matar Sarr. Johnson then put Spurs 2-0 up after 53 minutes. Heung-min Son made it 3 after 91 minutes, and sub Timo Werner made it 4 after 94 minutes. Now, the player ratings from the Daily Mail today: Vicario a 7, Pedro Porro a 6.5, Romero a 6, Van de Ven an 8, Dragusin a 7, Man of the match, Udogie an 8.5, Basuma a 6.5, Sarr a 7, Bentancur a 6.5, Kulusevski an 8, Maddison a 6.5, Johnson a 6.5, and Heung-min Son a 7.5. Now for a report from the Sun newspaper, and it says here, McGinn and Atomic. John red card blows up Villain's comeback hopes. It then states here, total match time, 101 minutes, 3 seconds. Ball in play time, 57 minutes, 13 seconds. Emery suffered his joint heaviest home defeat as a manager, along with a 5-1 loss nearly 12 years ago when he was Spartak boss. Also here in this column, Spurs walk in the park is a statement. Former striker Darren Bent gives his verdict on his old clubs, Aston Villa, who of course he played for between 2011 and 2015, and Tottenham, who he played for between 2007 and 2009. He said they executed their game plan to perfection. It's very rare you see an Emery team get beaten so heavily. Now a report from the Daily Telegraph, and it says here, ruthless Spurs blow top 4 race wide open. There was a typically Spurs performance at Villa Park, yet the huge disappointment for Emery was that it was his team who produced it. The Daily Telegraph have printed some quotes from Emery after the game, talking about John McGinn's red card. He said, "We lost control of our emotions and the red card was disappointing for me. John McGinn is always playing with passion. It's his second red card in, I think, 600 matches. He's always honest and very competitive. He's not a player doing things with bad intentions." Now, the player ratings from the Daily Telegraph today, they've given Vicario a 7, Pedro Porro a 7, Romero an 8, Van de Ven a 7, Udogie a 7, Basuma a 7, Sarr a 7, Kulusevski a 7, Maddison an 8, Brennan Johnson an 8, Heung-min Son an 8. Now a report from the Daily Express, and it says here, foursome Spurs are still alive and kicking. Ange in driving seat. It then states here, the best we have played. Ange Postecoglou rated Tottenham's 4-goal demolition of Aston Villa as their best display of the season. He said at the beginning of the year, we played some big games, we handled ourselves well. Postecoglou then went on to say, but considering the context of the game, the venue and the opponent, I thought it was as controlled as we have been in any game all year. We handled everything. It's a positive for us because, again, there's a lot of growth in this team. So after Tottenham beat Aston Villa 4-0 on Sunday in the Premier League, Spurs remain 5th in the table. We have now played 27 games, meaning that we have 11 games left of this campaign. We have won 16 of those 27 played. We have drawn 5 and we have lost 6. We have scored 59 and we have conceded 39, meaning that we have a goal difference of plus 20. We have 53 points. We are just 2 points away from the top 4, which of course Aston Villa are in 4th spot. Now Tottenham's next game is of course Fulham away on Saturday, the late kickoff, 5:30 p.m. and Aston Villa are in action away at West Ham on Sunday. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Have a great week. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.